The teaching of Jesus is healing. And vice versa, the healing of Jesus is teaching too. My dear sisters and brothers, the parable of the day is like a double-edged sword. It cuts both the ways. There is healing and there is teaching. The teaching of Jesus brings about wholeness, and thereby it is healing. And whenever Jesus heals someone, it's always to impart a teaching. And that is why I say it again, the healing of Jesus is teaching, and the teaching of Jesus is healing as well. What do I mean? The parable of the day presents us with the paralytic, a man who is immobilized, unable to move, impossible for him to get to where he wants to go. And so there he is lying on a stretcher. And as Jesus wants to heal him, notice how he begins. This is something very typical of Jesus. You could call it the modus operandi. That is the way he operates. That is his methodology. He always begins by healing. He always begins his healing by forgiving people. And so he looks at him and says, "Son, your sins are forgiven." And then he goes on to heal him in every sense of the word. And so the healing begins in a spiritual way, and then it goes on to the physical person. My dear sisters and brothers, it's Christmas time, and we are preparing for the birth of the Messiah, for his birth into our hearts, into our homes, and into our neighborhood. And there are so many ways of preparing ourselves. But as we heard last Sunday in the Gospel from John the Baptist, the best way of preparing is by opening our hearts and minds to him, by having a change of heart, by being converted to the Lord. In other words, turning to the Lord would mean turning away from our sinfulness. Conversion is but a radical change of heart, an inner transformation. And the moment you and I are reconciled with God, with one another, and with ourselves, healing begins to happen in us. And so, I invite you, I urge you, I welcome you to come and be reconciled to God. Every Saturday, there is reconciliation in our church at 3 in the afternoon, a drive-by reconciliation from the comfort and the safety of your car with a cell phone in hand. You could look at your confessor or call him reconciler and make your reconciliation. Receive your sacrament of reconciliation. Or every day there is Mass at 4:30, in-person Mass, and if you alert me a little before that, we could help you with reconciliation immediately after the Mass. The important thing is that we are reconciled with God, with one another, and with ourselves, because every healing begins with being forgiven. To conclude, the teaching of Jesus is healing, and the healing of Jesus is a teaching in itself. Let's listen to the Lord. Let's receive his teaching into us and be healed and made whole.